On today's Dreamtime sale video, we make a short hop from Magnetic Island over to Townsville's Breakwater Marina.
Then we take a walking tour of the city's beautiful colonial buildings and spend a few hours in the fantastic Maritime Museum.
And we check out the fabulous Strand and Kissing Point before Karen shows you how easy it is to whip up a quick loaf of bread in Our Galley. After a few very relaxing days in Horseshoe Bay, we upped anchor to head into Townsville. We had booked into the Breakwater Marina from the following day, but decided to move across the bay the afternoon before so we could berth early and make the most of our time in Marina. There was a short motor sail over to anchor behind the breakwater in what's locally as the Duck Pond. It's quite shallow with a silky mud bottom, but it is well protected from the prevailing southeasters. We enjoyed a great sunset and a calm night before slipping into our berth the following morning. The marina is located next to the Anzac Park at the eastern end of Townsville Strand area. It's also very conveniently only a couple of blocks from the city centre. We quite enjoy visiting this northern city, but have had plenty of people ask, what is there to do in Townsville? Well, quite a lot actually.
So today we're taking a beautiful walk along, into the city of Townsville. There are some gorgeous historic buildings across the view, and we're going to head over to the Maritime Museum and the Sailing Club for lunch. Sounds good?
Works for me. Townsville still has a lot of its colonial architecture intact. Just fantastic to have a wander around looking at the buildings. The self-guided history walking tour of Townsville with plenty of signposts to give you the story. And the original post office is now a brewery. That's an improvement. I have to say the weather here in Townsville's been absolutely brilliant. You wouldn't believe it's the middle of winter. Absolutely beautiful wandering around the Ross Creek. We're heading down past the Townsville Yacht Club, and we're planning on taking in the Maritime Museum, which we've heard is very, very good here in Townsville.
Dutch shipwrecks, kind of the VOC, the table, golden stroke, these vessels, and realised that things like timbers, iron, this material could still survive even after hundreds of years. When you look at a model of the bark Endeavour that then Lieutenant James Cook
sailed up the east coast of Australia in 1770, you realise how limited, how blunt in the bow, and what a magnificent navigator and seaman he must have been to have got this ship literally around the world. Only 33 metres long, 9 metres wide, and had almost 100 men on board.
When you first see a wreck, I think you're sometimes taken aback by the amount of sea life. Whereas Yongala Council is a spectacular dive. When we first dived in 82, I thought we were on a reef. We were going, where's the wreck? And we're actually on it, and it's just spectacular. Thousands and thousands of fish. I think then you start thinking past that, and it's really sad. I mean, no survivors. People in town waiting for them and that sort of thing. Maritime archaeology is a bit like detective work. You do a lot of research, and you do eventually get out into the field, and you don't always find what you expect.
Absolutely love getting some exercise when we can, and our form of exercise most often is a good walk. And this whole Strand waterfront area at Townsville is so popular, and you can see why. Beautiful winter's morning here in Townsville, North Queensland. Not a lot of wind. There is a sailboat out there. Our friends Tony and John making their way north. There is a southeasterly blow coming next week, and they want to get through to Cairns in a hurry. So they've got the iron topsail on and making their way between here and Magnetic Island and up to Orpheus for the night. But we have been enjoying our walk, and the scenery definitely makes it a pleasant place to exercise.
It's nice to get off the boat, stretch the legs, get a bit of cardio happening. That's what we miss on the boat, isn't it? We get exercise and flexibility, but we don't get cardio. So whenever we've got the opportunity, get off the boat, have a nice long walk, and get the cardio happening.
Pretty attractive place to do it.
Not bad at all.
We really do like the installation art they've done as well. The sea turtle, beautiful dugong, all sorts of pieces and quirky bits up and down the Strand. Enough to keep you entertained on your walk, that's for sure. What a lovely bunch of coconuts. The downside of an early morning walk is some places aren't open, such as the Army Museum. Open Wednesday, Friday and Sundays from 9 AM to 1 PM. Free admission. The City of Townsville and its building codes has a strict height restriction on what can be built along the Strand. All except this one. It's now called the Aquarius. It was built, I think back in the early 70s. And there was such an uproar from the local citizens that there's never been anything built as high on the Strand itself. Over in the reclaimed area of the Breakwater is the Breakwater Casino Hotel, but certainly doesn't impact on the Strand at all. The landscape of the city of Townsville is dominated by Castle Hill. I can't remember the exact figures, but it's like a few metres short of being high enough to be called a mountain. But it's one hell of a hill, that's for sure, and an absolutely stunning place to watch the sunset from. During our stay in Townsville, we were very fortunate to meet a couple of Dreamtime Sail followers, Kate and Jason. They invited us to share a very special sundowns with them on top of Castle Hill. Not only were the views great, the sunset was spectacular.
Here we are in a car again, Rob, around Townsville.
Yeah, we've got the Breakwater Marina courtesy car for a couple of hours.
In 1 kilometre, turn right onto Boundary Street towards Errands.
There's the iPhone telling us where to go. We're heading off to pick up a battery for our Mavic Pro drone that hopefully will work, because the one that came with it doesn't.
Bit of a shame that, isn't it? We've had a bit of run with batteries, haven't we? Anyway, not to worry. And we're off to pick up some sunbrella as well to do a little bit of sewing tomorrow whilst we have some convenience of a good sewing machine. Friends of ours have a really good straight sewer, so I'm going to take the opportunity to sit and sew.
Turn right onto Boundary Street towards Errands.
So we need to get some jerry can covers done and a crab pot cover, so we'll get that done tomorrow morning hopefully.
Here we are driving through where in a week and a half it'll be V8 Supercar Racetrack.
Yeah. So I did actually ask Rob whether he wanted to stay around for the V8, seeing this is part of what he used to do.
The islands are calling.
The islands are calling. Motorsport is second now. In our galley this morning, we're going to make our quick sandwich loaf, and it's just so simple to make. You'll notice in my bowl I have 1 teaspoon of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of yeast, and now 1 tablespoon of beautiful honey is going in. This will activate the yeast along with 1.5 cups of warm water. Mix this all together and we let it sit for 15 minutes. In that time, you'll notice that the yeast actually goes very frothy and it's not the greatest smell in the galley, but that's what makes our bread rise. So just leave it there to ferment, and look at it. Just a bit of trickery with our camera here so that you can see what it does. And then into our flour. Simple as that. The whole recipe you will find on Our Galley website. The details will be below in this episode. Mix it all around. Now it'll depend on your weather. We're actually got quite humid weather at the moment, so yeah, your flour, it will just depend. You'll find whether it comes together or not. And you may need a little bit of extra water. Just add a little bit of extra warm water to bring it together. This is a quick and easy one that I use for our daily sandwiches. So yeah, you can see it just didn't come together as one dough, and now it is, just with that little extra bit of water, just coming together nicely. Now this one you don't have to knead. However, I find that it gets lighter if I knead it. So I will turn it out and give it a good knead for 5 minutes on the board, thereabouts, until you feel as if, you know, it's a nice soft dough. You can feel the difference. and it will depend also on what flour you use. I'm using good baker's flour here, so it does come together quite nicely. If you're just using the run-of-the-mill, plain flour, you might have to actually give it a little bit more of a knead. We've preheated our oven also, and you'll see there that I have a tin ready to go that I have greased. It's a non-stick, so it should be okay, but I always like to grease it. And just scoring the top of the bread so it can break open and become a bit crusty, and that's a bit of butter and milk together, and just a bit of melted butter and a little bit of milk, and then a little serving of nice herbs to go on. Into the oven at 180 degrees for around about 20 minutes, and there's your loaf.
If you're enjoying our videos, please make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It really does help us with YouTube to reach more people. If you also hit the bell button, you'll be notified each time we release a new episode. Come sail with us again soon.